Anna had always believed that her world was perfectly wrapped as the laughter of her little boy, Ethan. His bright eyes, full of curiosity, sparkled like the morning sun, and his small hands always reached out for her with trust and love. Every day with Ethan was a blessing. His playful giggles filled the corners of their modest home, turning ordinary moments into treasures. For Anna, motherhood was a journey of endless joy, the kind that made her heart swell beyond words. But life, with its cruel twists, began to unravel that fragile peace. It started with a faint cough. At first, Anna thought it was just a common cold, nothing to worry about. Ethan, usually so vibrant, suddenly seemed quieter, his energy draining like the last drops from a glass. One night, she woke to find him shivering beneath the thin blanket, his small body trembling with fever. Panic gripped her chest as she gently placed a hand on his forehead. It was burning hot. The next days were a blur of sleepless nights and frantic visits to the clinic. Anna held Ethan close, whispering soothing words, trying to mask her growing fear. The doctors spoke in hushed tones, their brows furrowed with concern. Tests followed tests, and each waiting room felt like a chamber of dread. Anna clung to hope, telling herself it was just a passing illness. But deep inside, an unsettling shadow grew. As the diagnosis came, her world tilted. The word serious echoed in her mind. The doctors explained that Ethan's condition was rare and dangerous, a battle against a disease that no mother wants to hear. Anna's heart shattered piece by piece, yet she refused to break. She looked at Ethan's fragile face, his eyes still shining with innocent trust, and made a silent vow. She would fight for him with everything she had. Days turned into weeks filled with hospital visits and treatments. Anna became a shadow in the sterile corridors, always by Ethan's side. She learned to read the language of machines and medicine, her fingers trembling as she administered medicines and wiped away his sweat. Ethan, despite his weakness, still smiled when she sang softly or held his favorite stuffed bear. Those small smiles became her lifeline, a fragile thread holding her hope together. But the emotional toll was overwhelming. Anna's nights were haunted by the sound of Ethan's labored breathing. She would sit beside his hospital bed, holding his hand, tears streaming silently down her cheeks. Fear gnawed at her. Fear of losing him. Fear of a future without his light. She felt powerless, watching the child she loved so fiercely grow weaker with each passing day. There were moments when Anna's spirit faltered. She found herself questioning the cruelty of fate. Why her beloved son? Why this merciless illness? In the quiet solitude of the hospital waiting room, she often whispered desperate prayers, begging for just one more day, one more smile. Her faith wavered, but never broke, because Ethan was worth fighting for, worth every tear and every sleepless night. One afternoon, a doctor approached with cautious optimism. A new treatment had shown promise in recent cases. It was experimental, not guaranteed, but it was a chance. A fragile glimmer of hope in the darkness. Anna's heart raced as she listened, grasping at the possibility of a miracle. She saw Ethan's tired eyes light up faintly, sensing her hope even in his weakness. With trembling hands, Anna agreed to the treatment. The days that followed were filled with cautious optimism. Every small improvement, a stronger breath, a brighter glance, was a victory. Anna found herself whispering words of encouragement to Ethan, her voice steady despite the storm raging inside her. She dreamed of the day he would run and laugh freely again, her heart refusing to accept anything less. Amid the beeping machines and white hospital walls, Anna and Ethan created moments of tenderness. She read him stories, their favorite fairy tales filled with heroes and happy endings. She kissed his forehead and promised that she would never leave his side. In those moments, the world outside ceased to exist. It was just a mother and her child, holding on to hope like a fragile flame against the cold night. Yet, beneath the hope, the fear lingered like a silent shadow. Anna knew that this battle was far from over. Each day was uncertain, each moment precious and precarious. But for now, she allowed herself to believe, to hope that somehow, against all odds, her son's laughter would fill their home again. As Ethan rested in her arms one quiet evening, Anna whispered softly, "Hold on, my love. We will get through this. You are stronger than you know." And in his faint smile, she found the strength to carry on, to fight for the fragile hope that still flickered between them. The sun had begun its slow descent, casting a pale, muted light through the hospital window. But inside the small room, time seemed to freeze, trapped in the heavy stillness that settled around Anna and Ethan. The fragile hope that had carried her through endless nights now felt like a flickering candle, struggling against a cold, unforgiving wind. Ethan lay in the hospital bed, thinner and quieter than before. His chest rose and fell in shallow, uneven breaths, each one a whispered battle against the darkness creeping into his tiny body. Anna sat beside him, her hand gently clutching his frail fingers, as if sheer willpower could tether him to life. Her eyes, swollen from sleepless nights and tears, never left his face. Every line, every breath, every faint flutter of his eyelids etched deeply into her heart. The doctors had warned her. They said his body was weakening, that the disease was relentless and cruel. But no amount of warnings could prepare a mother for this unbearable moment. Watching the light in her child's eyes dim until it was barely there, Anna's soul screamed silently, her heart breaking with every beat, but she forced herself to be strong. For Ethan, she whispered to him, her voice trembling yet filled with fierce love. "Ethan, my brave boy, you don't have to fight anymore. It's okay to rest." But even as she spoke, she hoped against hope that he would open his eyes, squeeze her hand, tell her he wasn't ready to leave her just yet. Hours passed in a haze of quiet prayers and soft caresses. Anna wiped the dampness from Ethan's forehead and brushed a stray lock of hair from his face. The world outside continued its busy rhythm, but here, time was suspended in a sacred sorrow. She remembered all the promises she had made, to protect him, to watch him grow, to be there for every laugh, every tear, every moment in between. Now, those promises felt impossibly fragile. Ethan's breaths grew slower, each one a whisper that seemed to fade into silence. Anna felt her own breath catch, her chest tightening with the weight of impending loss. She leaned closer, her lips barely touching his ear as she spoke the words she feared would be the last she'd say to him. "I love you, Ethan. Always, forever." Her voice broke, tears slipping down her cheeks. "You are my whole world. Thank you for choosing me to be your mother." In those final moments, time felt infinite and yet too short. Anna held him close, feeling the faint warmth of his body slowly slip away. The room, once filled with the beeping of machines and hurried footsteps, grew eerily quiet. And then, with a breath so soft it was almost a sigh, Ethan's chest stilled. Anna sat frozen, the silence overwhelming. The child who had been her light, her reason, was gone. Gone from the world, but forever imprinted on her heart. The weight of grief crashed down like a tidal wave, threatening to drown her in an ocean of sorrow. She wept, not just tears, but a flood of anguish that poured from the depths of her soul. How could this be real? How could the boy who had filled her days with laughter now be only a memory? The emptiness that followed was suffocating, a hollow ache that no words could fill. Days blurred into one another as Anna wandered through a world that felt cold and colorless. The hospital room, where Ethan had breathed his last, became a silent shrine to a love that transcended life and death. She touched his favorite blanket, folded with care. She held his worn teddy bear close, its fur softened by countless hugs. Every small thing was a reminder of joy lost, of a future stolen. Anna's nights were the hardest. Alone in the dark, she reached out for the warmth that was no longer there. She imagined Ethan's laughter echoing through the halls, his tiny hands reaching for hers. The cruel silence pressed in, and she felt the sharp sting of loneliness like never before. Family and friends offered their condolences, their words kind, but unable to mend the gaping wound inside her. She smiled politely, though the pain beneath was raw and endless. Anna was a mother who had lost her child, and nothing could prepare anyone for that. Yet amidst the unbearable grief, a fragile thread of love remained. Love that would never die. Anna found herself talking to Ethan's empty room, sharing stories as if he could still hear her. She promised to carry his memory forward, to live with the light he had given her, even in darkness. One evening, as the sky turned a deep indigo sprinkled with stars, Anna stepped outside. She looked up at the vast expanse above, her voice barely a whisper carried by the cool night air. "Goodbye, my precious boy. You are the brightest star now. I'll hold you in my heart forever." Tears glistened on her cheeks, but in that moment, beneath the endless sky, Anna felt a fragile peace, a silent understanding that though Ethan was gone from her arms, he would never be gone from her soul. Her journey through grief was just beginning. The world had changed forever, but her love, fierce, unbreakable, eternal, would be the light that guided her through the darkest nights.